Hey guys. Um, so turns out I actually did do a second video this month. And I'm literally recording this um right before, like 2 days before Halloween. But we got here in the end, so that's good. Um, so yeah, I just have So this one's for this video, I actually am not doing it on my phone because for some reason I couldn't get the files to transfer over. So luckily I got a very bare bone um video editor app on my computer. So let's see how that works out. So you know, so yeah. So last year. This is last year's pumpkin painting. If you remember, last year I uploaded me like painting on a pumpkin, and like I mentioned, that's something I like to do like every year because because I was never allowed to like carve pumpkins, so instead I would paint them, and it's just kind of a little habit that I kind of do. And I kind of recently just started doing like um painting pumpkins to kind of go with the costume that I'm doing. I did it last year, which is the plague doctor, which is what you're seeing right now, which is a plague doctor. But I also kind of did it this year, with the Skeleton Queen, which you'll see next year. I'm sorry to say, but yeah. So a little bit about this drawing is that this drawing was actually part of last year's Inktober prompt. I believe the prompt was rat or rodent or something along those lines. And I with the whole Corona thing, Plague Doctor was kind of it was kind of on my mind since all the pandemic started. I can't really explain why, but it was just something that I was just I just kind of got really into in a way. I don't know how to describe it. It probably sounds weird. But like ever since when the panic started, I think it has something to do with the fact that I saw a lot of people like doing like plague doctor mask and like when remember like when the pandemic started, how everyone was just kind of using whatever they could find as a mask to go to stores, and I would see some people. I saw this one photo of like someone dressed up as a plague doctor, and I was like, I want to do that. So I ended up making a plague doctor mask out of cardboard, which is another video. It's right there. And yeah. So then I was like, you know what? For Halloween this year, if Halloween is a thing, I'll be a plague doctor. Well, Halloween wasn't really a thing. I kind of just ended up just staying at home, and I didn't even really wear the costume because I didn't really go do much for the costume. I just did the plague doctor mask, and that was pretty much it. I don't know. Last year wasn't really good for me for like coming up with like costumes. And I don't know. I think the fact that like I couldn't really show off my costume was kind of a little bit kind of didn't really get me into my normal motivation for the holiday that I so love. Which is different this year. I went full out, and actually, funnily enough, I got my school, my class had a little Halloween party, and I got to wear my costume out. Great, I lost 3 ribs, but not actual ribs, costume ribs. But yeah, so I managed to get my motivation back into making costumes this year, which is great. Okay, so yeah, so let's actually kind of talk a little bit about the painting. Like I said, this is originally going to be like this was originally my Inktober prompt for, I can't remember what day it was off the top of my head. And then I was like, oh, okay. And then we got a pumpkin, and I was like, oh, I don't know what I'm gonna paint it. And then, but I really liked the drawing that I did. So what I decided to do is that I printed out, I printed a copy technically because I drew it on my sketchbook, and then I just kind of traced it over the pumpkin, which is pretty hard to do. Like, trying to wrap a piece of paper around, like on a round surface is pretty tough to do. So it took a lot of trial and error, but eventually I managed to get it stuck. I traced over it, and then I just started painting on. So this costume, I knew. So with this painting, I kind of knew I kind of wanted to have it like pretty monochromatic, using a lot of grays and browns, and because I didn't really give it much color, because that's usually how Plague Doctor costumes are. They're usually like black or brownish. And I know it's technically not really a full Plague Doctor, but like it's kind of my version of a Plague Doctor. I didn't really look too much into references to how Plague Doctors go. Like I kind of had a vague idea, but I kind of wanted to do like I don't know. It's been a while, so I can't remember if this is what an actual Plague Doctor costume looks like. But yeah, so this is just how I decided to do it. And funny enough, like I said, I was like really into Plague Doctors last year, so I ended up doing this once again. I kind of did this drawing 3 times, in all honesty. Technically, I ended up also making like this cute little figurine out of clay, because I was bored, and it's just like a little Plague Doctor holding onto a little mouse. It's pretty cute. I would post a photo. I would like show a photo, but I don't think I can like have 2 things going on at the same time. So unfortunately, that's not going to happen. And like I said, I just kind of want to get this video ready and out by Halloween. Okay, so another thing I want to talk about is who this Plague Doctor is. So if you remember in my last video where I was talking about the witch when I was doing the mindless prompt for the couple of Inktober drawing from a few years ago, I mentioned that I kind of started coming up with like stories involving the witch and 2 other characters. And if you remember, I mentioned a Plague Doctor. And here's the thing. It was around the time when I was doing the drawing for the Plague Doctor for the Inktober prompt that I kind of started coming up with a story. So, it's coming up with a story. It's still very, very, and I wouldn't just really say it's a story. It's more like just a proof of concept or something. The vague essence of a story. So this would be the Plague Doctor. I don't really have too much in mind for her. I think out of the 3, which is the witch, the Plague Doctor, and the Skeleton Queen, the witch has the most in mind for her story. I feel like I think the second one would probably be I'm gonna say Miss Doctor, because actually, funnily enough, a lot of some ideas for the story kind of came from me being obsessed with Among Us. Kinda. Okay, hang on. I kind of got some ideas while playing Among Us, so let me just kind of explain. So I was really obsessed with Among Us last year, like many were. And every time when I played, I would always, because the Plague Doctor mask was like a free hat you could wear, and I would always use it, and I would call it and I would call myself Miss Doctor. I don't do that anymore. I don't call myself Miss Doctor anymore because like they don't have the Plague Doctor mask anymore. So now I'm Miss Detective whenever I play Among Us. Well, I got a funny story about that, but that's for another time. Anyways, so I just kind of like just went around just playing, and then I kind of got into like, and then whenever. So one funny thing is like whenever I was imposter, or whenever someone like found me out, I would just immediately go like I was collecting organs because they were a transplant donor, so I came to collect their organs. And yeah. So how does this relate to this characters that I want to do in medieval Black Plague times? So the vague idea I have for Miss Doctor is a couple of things. And I feel like there's actually two versions of Miss Doctor: the story version and the Among Us version. um, but let's just stick with, but they're kind of like also the same character in a way. Anyways, so who is Miss Doctor? Oh shoot, hang on, give me 1 second. My computer battery's dying. Okay, sorry, where was I? I had to go grab my charger. Yes, so the story of Miss Doctor. So, I kind of imagine that she's like, this girl who kind of lives like in this like outside of like a village next to like the capital of like this kingdom. Like pretty much out basically like in the middle of nowhere essentially, and like she's kind of usually by herself with her parents. Um, her dad is a doctor, and she is very interested into knowing this, but maybe her mom isn't like she was, because like like medieval times, like women don't really do anything really. Am I right? I don't know. And then the plague fucking hits, and then yeah. But like her dad like kind of teaches her some stuff about medicine, but like still kind of like hesitant on like, and supposed he wants to like go and help with the plague. And she kind of, but like I don't imagine there would be a lot of female doctors back then. But like she decides to actually go, and since like she's gonna be covered up anyways, because like plague doctor and all that. But unfortunately, and one of these times when she does go with her, she kind of wanders off, and she gets and then some bad stuff happens. Okay. I kind of forgot. So basically, like, okay, so like I said, she's like out in the woods, essentially. I imagine that like and she doesn't really have like any friends because there's like no one nearby. But I kind of thought like, oh, remember how I mentioned that I kind of wanted the stories to kind of like interact with each other? Like her main story is just like her like wanting to be like a doctor and like trying to help cure people of the plague that is currently arising. Although she does have she does have like a fondness for like little mice. I don't know, maybe it's like a little bit of Cinderella thing. Oh, I have no friends, so the mice shall be my friends. Even though they're the ones containing the plague. Spreading the plague, that's the word I was looking for. Even though she's kind of like out in the middle of the woods, I kind of think like, what if one of these days she like goes out, she's kind of just doing her thing, just frolicking through flowers or something. She runs into the witch, and this is like pre revenge spree. And then she ends up making friends with her, and like so this is kind of like where the stories kind of connect a little bit. Like I know like how I said I wanted them to connect. I feel like out of the three, like these two stories connect the most. But yeah, and they're kind of like friendly and all. And she kind of like teaches her like, oh, like how they use like herbs and stuff to like make potions to like cure people or something. Maybe. But like she doesn't like see her that often, just kind of like every once in a while. And no one really knows about this like weird friendship. I also imagine there's probably like an age gap. Like maybe like I don't fucking know. Like example, like she's like a kid, and like when she first sees the witch, she's like more in her mid to late teens, around there. And then like Miss Doctor is like, I don't know, like 6 to 8 or somewhere around there. But like, and she's kind of like this like weird older sister type character who just kind of pops in every once in a while. Anyways, so I'm jumping back and forth, but I literally, like I said, I have no script, so just deal with my weird rambles because I don't feel like having to record this multiple times. So like I said, later on, she is she's starting to be a doctor, and then like later on, she eventually does start going with her dad to like help treat people, and she does like maybe she does it like a couple of times, but one of these days when she does, she eventually meets the witch again. Unfortunately, at this point she has gone vengeance mode and has already raised the dead. I imagine that like her and her dad, and maybe a couple of other people, a couple other plague doctors too. Why not? Are like about to head out, but she kind of like stumbles off. She like I don't know, like maybe she starts looking or she hears something, but she can't. Essentially, she kind of like stumbles off the path away from everyone. But eventually, and then she runs into the witch, and she has just seen her raise some zombies, and she's like, "Oh fuck!" And unfortunately, she is one. And imagine, and yeah, actually, maybe not mention that part. But basically, some shit happens, and the witch did not realize that it was the Miss Doctor, because she's got like the full setup, so she cannot see anything about her, and then goes off and then onto vengeance mode onto the entire kingdom. And then maybe she also kind of runs into the Skeleton Queen at some point during this period, and she kind of helps her out. I don't know. I kind of like want to mention like the deal they have for her, but like I don't know if that's getting so much. You know what? I'll just mention it. So basically, the witch kind of unintentionally kills her, and then realize, oh shit, this is the little. Oh shit, fuck, what'd I do? But she's already too far into vengeance that she's just like, while she is sad, she just kind of continues on, or maybe she doesn't realize who she just murdered with her horde of zombies. And then, because she's like, the witch is raising the dead, so like it kind of gains the attention of Skeleton, and so she goes to investigate right where it started, and then she sees Miss Doctor and kind of takes a little bit of takes pity on her, so she kind of helps. Like she's not dead yet, but she is dying. But so Skeleton like takes some pity and like revives her, heals her. But something that I was thinking on how this is where I gotta jump into the Among Us, which I could kind of see myself watching a Let's Play of. Not the time. I can see myself playing it in the background. Not playing it. Watching Let's Play of in the background. Is that like maybe the kind of magic that Skeleton uses not only heals her, but also unfortunately travels her to the future. I don't really know how that works out, but like that's just an idea I had planned just purely due to Among Us. And then eventually she goes on a ship and she starts. She's got to deal with crewmates. I don't know. That part is not not canon. That's like where it kind of splits off into two different Miss Doctors who are sort of the same people, but not really. But I do kind of want to do like the whole future thing because I just think that's an interesting concept. I don't know. Maybe you think it's stupid, but either way, I know like she does kind of like heal her, or so if she does not eventually travel to the future for whatever reason I decide, probably because it's stupid. She does get healed, and she's fine. Okay, and that's kind of basically the story that I got with her. It's pretty jumbled mess. But yeah. Oh yeah, some other things that I kind of want to mention that I thought of would be an interesting concept for Miss Doctor. One is that I don't know, I just thought it might be kind of interesting if she had, just because it would just be kind of, I think it might be just a cool look in general, just because I think it would look kind of cool. I believe it's called vitiligo or something like that. It's basically like when you have like lighter patches of skin, but I don't know. It was kind of a thought I had because like I was just trying to think of like what she would look like under the mask, and for some reason that popped into my mind, and I thought that'd be kind of cool. And like I don't know, but I don't really know too much. And also, it doesn't seem also like if this is like in like plague times, I imagine it would be somewhere in Europe, and I don't think it's that common in with paler skin tones, like with white skin tones. So maybe not. That's just a thought I had. But another thought that I do want to do is that she is mute. So, because so this idea I had was kind of from TikTok, because I did end up getting like a lot of Plague Doctor on my For You page for some reason. I don't know why, because I kept liking them. That's why. And there's this one, and I was watching this one TikTok, and there's this one person. I don't know. There's this one Plague Doctor that got like a little bird whistle and was like doing that for like a video or something. And I was like, oh, that's cute. And then I was like, oh wait, what if that's kind of a thing Miss Doctor does? Like not have like a little whistle, but like basically like she kind of mute, like she doesn't talk at all. I don't know. It was just kind of like an interesting thing thought that I kind of had, and but maybe she does kind of use a whistle sometimes. So I'm just like, hey, like trying to get people's attention. But wait, can mute people? Wait, no. Actual question: can people who are mute can they whistle? Or no? Maybe she has. Maybe she does have like an actual whistle. And I imagine like when she has her mask on, she has it like built in. If she does have a whistle, like it's probably like built into the mask almost. And she kind of uses that to like kind of communicate, like maybe like one whistle for yes, two for no, or something like that. And I'm just kind of thinking, I was like, I don't know, I just think it's kind of cute. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all I gotta say for Miss Doctor. Once again, I'm sorry for my very rambly things. It's just that I don't really have the time to like just kind of write a script and get all my thoughts out. And I don't really got much thoughts with with these characters because I don't really have a lot. Like like I said, I want to do a story with them. I just don't really know how or when because I need a full story. I just kind of have snippets and I have scenes in mind that might be very interesting, but other than that, it's like I don't really have much in mind. But like I definitely have done like the main two characters that like I do have ideas for. The most vague would be Skeleton Queen, which unfortunately you're not going to be seeing her until next year. So yeah, and I think that's pretty much all I really got to say about Miss Doctor, which is her. It's not her name, but it's like what I've been calling her. So just calling her the Plague Doctor. It's just Miss Doctor. Thanks, Among Us. Yeah. Like I said, I don't really got too much in mind for her. I'm still figuring out her character, but yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Again, sorry for you having to deal with my very weird rambles as I have no script and I'm just kind of saying everything off the top of my head. But I hope you could still enjoy this video, and I hope you all have a very happy Halloween.